I'm proud and excited to announce that the new book, Transform Your Body, Transform Your Life, is now available. I've put the links to grab your copy from Amazon worldwide in the show notes, and I can't wait to see what you think. As a thank you for listening to the podcast, email podcast@rntfitness.com with your receipt, and we'll send you the free ebook version to start reading immediately. If you like a sneak peek of what's inside, you can download the first chapter at rntfitness.com/book. Also, you've heard me talking about the power of journaling for a long time, so I'm happy to announce we've now got customized RNT journals in store. There's a mix of prompts and freestyle writing, which you can take a glimpse of on rntfitness.com/journal. Just a quick one before we get into this episode. If you're in the UK and you use supplements, I'd highly recommend checking out Reflex Nutrition, where they're giving up to 40% on all their range if you use the code PTRNT at checkout. I've been using Reflex for nearly a decade, with their microwave being one of my favorite whey proteins. It's grass-fed, hormone-free, and digests so well compared to most on the market. Check out their full supplement range, including all your transformation basics and plant-based alternatives on reflexnutrition.com, and use the code PTRNT at checkout for up to 40% off. Today I'm joined by long-term RNT'er Shiv Haria, who epitomizes everything about our mission at RNT, and I can't wait for you to listen to this conversation between us. While Shiv's journey started off to improve his physique, it's developed and evolved into a journey of how to become a high performer in all areas of his life, especially for his career, where he uses the physical as the vehicle to fuel his growing business. A common trait we've seen in those who stay in shape year-round is that it goes beyond the physical. It becomes about connecting the dots between what the physical gives to your highest priorities in life, whether that be your relationships, career, health, or business. It has to be about something more, and it has to become about being a high performer in that domain. For context, Shiv has now held a 4-pack for over 2 years now, which shows his real change and transformation. When you start using rules to fuel your performance, you stay in shape as a byproduct. Having rules that work takes trial and error, education, accountability, and effective coaching to get it right. And it's arguably the most important part of building a lifestyle solution that works for you year-round. In this episode, we discuss the first 3 years of his journey and how he's moved through the gears to unlock more and more on his pursuit of self-mastery. If you want to learn how to be a high performer and stay in shape, listen right to the end on this one. So I see you've got this thermometer behind you. What's that all about?
That's really interesting, actually. I only got that probably about 4 months ago. We started our sales in our business. As you know, I own a business called Lifestyle Property People. And it's all about making our targets visible. So at the top, it says there are 60 properties. That's how many properties we're going to purchase this year for our clients. And you'll see that, what we're recording this mid-July, and we're currently at 39 out of the 60. So, our year started in April. It's been 3.5 months. We've had a really good year so far. But it's all about just making it visible. And, I'm having Zoom conversations with a lot of clients so they can see my background. And it's nice for them to be able to see that, we're being successful. We're doing good things as well.
You've done the whole make it visible in your own transformation journey as well. I think every single check-in sheet I've received, I've got a Zac Efron picture at the end of it. I think it's from Baywatch.
It's from Baywatch. I've been recently watching this program with Zac Efron. He goes around with a guy called Darren, his friend, and they go around, they travel the world. And it's all about eating healthier, living longer, living more sustainably, and all of that kind of stuff. It's on Netflix. Jana and I have recently got into it, and it shows him in a completely different light. So you see him in the Baywatch, and he actually said in this program that he goes, whilst I was filming Baywatch, I didn't touch a carb for 6 months. And he goes, now in hindsight, I see how bad that is as a diet, and it completely messed me up and stuff. And he goes, I'm so happy that I'm eating carbs now. And it was interesting to see. But yeah, I always put his picture up there because when I look at those magazines and I see someone on the front cover, when I see someone like him, and I'm like, that would be a goal that I would never think that I could get to, and never. I wouldn't even bother aspiring to it because I just think it's so far away. And certainly when I started this whole process, I wasn't even thinking about getting a 6-pack. Actually, it was just like, let's just do something. Might as well. We've got a bit of time. Might as well do something to make us a bit healthier. And then it kind of spiraled into, the 6-pack and the body, and then keeping up to shape, in shape, and now trying to get to that kind of elusive goal, which is pretty cool.
So talk about the initial trigger and the early stages. You mentioned it kind of came about, but what was the trigger and what kind of forced you to take the jump?
Yeah, sure. So like right in the initial stages, we I just started the business, I think, or we were about a year or so into it. And it was me and my ex-business partner, Akash. We were kind of doing these things together, and we were really close. And he said to me, "Oh, we should try this RNT thing." And I said, "What's this RNT thing?" And in our relationship, and as I'm sure that you're aware, this happens a lot in kind of families and stuff as well. He's the kind of like, let me go and try new stuff kind of guy. Yeah. And I'm the kind of, you go and try the new stuff and let me know if it works out. He's the person who queues outside Apple, the Apple store for 4 hours. I'm the one who goes the next day and gets it. They say, if assuming it's good, I'll go the next day. So he was like, I'm going to do it. And I was like, well, you do it and let me know after a month or no if it's any good or not. So I think he started, and within a few days he was like, oh, I'm doing all this stuff, and it sounded exciting. So I was like, wow, it's only a couple of £100. I'll do that as well. We'll try it out. So we tried it out, and as you know, you get hooked very quickly. And the reason why you get hooked, actually, I don't know if some of the people that are listening to this will resonate with this, but that literally in the first month or so, you start seeing changes. And previous to this, I mentioned to you previously that I'd been training with a personal trainer for probably about a year and a half before then. So I've always been kind of a little bit into fitness. And I'd seen a little bit of body composition change. Like there was definitely a bit more muscle, but there was no way that a six pack was going to kind of show through. And within the first kind of month of training with RNT'er and with you guys, I saw like visible changes. You could see it in the mirror, like the fat's coming off, the muscles growing, and it was insane. I was like, I've been doing this for 18 months before I joined RNT. How have I not seen this kind of results? And ironically, I remember talking to Akash at the time thinking, why is it called RNT? And he goes, it's results now training. I was like, I suppose that's exactly what they are, isn't it? Results now. That's what you get.
What's the difference between a personal trainer and working with a transformation coach?
Actually, I was just talking to somebody else about this afternoon. I think that all the personal trainers that I've met, and even the ones, Akash, where I've tried to tell them to do the stuff that you're doing, every personal trainer just wants to focus on the gym. That's all they want to do. They want to train you in the gym. There's people that I used to have previously, and I've said, listen, what you need to do is, make sure you start doing the meal plans for people. And, it's a holistic approach. It's not just the gym, but a lot of people just aren't interested. They know what they know, and that's what they're doing. So I think with a transformation coach, it's first of all, it's when they're looking at your health and fitness, it's not looking at how much you can bench. That's one element of it. I always say there's training, nutrition, sleep, hydration, and steps. Like those are my 5 keys. I always keep them there, and it's about getting all of those together so that you can then get the whole health and fitness piece rather than just the physical transformation bit of it. And then on top of that, and this is where we've started going, I think, Akash, in the last sort of 6 months or so, in the last year or so maybe, is moving on to a much more kind of mental piece on top of the physical piece. So the physical is there, I have pretty much like a year-round 4-pack. It doesn't go away. Sometimes if I get a bit skinny, it turns into a 6-pack, but that's always nice to have. It's now starting to look at how can we be more productive? How can we improve our performance in other areas of life as well? And this thing that you've taught me about rules. In fact, in my last check-in, I just wrote out the rules, right?
Yeah. Oh, you printed it out.
A piece of paper. Yeah, of course, I've got to print it out because I'll forget them. So it's like those rules. When I do it, I start thinking to myself, in general life, like what are the rules that I can start putting in place in my life to make myself perform better? Do you want to read them out? Yeah, absolutely. So it says here, rules for wild weekends is what it's titled. And it's because we've been experimenting for the last probably a couple of months now about how to, it's the lifestyle solution that I've been basically playing and toying with for the last 6 months to a year. And I've kind of got to grips with the week. I can do the week lifestyle solution. I feel as though I can eat what I want to eat and, I'll still be able to, without having to think too much about it. Although I'll come on to what I actually do in a second. But on the weekends, I do feel a little bit like it's my off days. And I want to get away from that thought because, if it's your off days, then you have on days. If you have on days, you have off days. it's not on and off. It's like, this is a lifestyle. And if it's a lifestyle, you just need to make it work. So I'll read these out. Rules for wild weekends. There's 8 rules here. Number 1, don't buffer. Something that I've started to do subconsciously is buffer a lot. If I know I'm going to go for a meal out, I won't have my oats in the morning. But unfortunately, what happens then is I end up being hungry, and so I overeat. Never a good thing.
Just before you carry on there, for the listeners, if you're in like the process phase or you're early on, then you may need to use buffering to help you kind of manage your calories. But when you're in a lifestyle phase, like a lot later on, like Shiv is, then buffering can actually be counterproductive, and it can be difficult to maintain a lifestyle around if you want to stay in shape. So just wanted to caveat there for people listening.
Especially as I was doing it subconsciously. I wasn't necessarily thinking, oh, I'm going to have, a big lunch. I better not have my breakfast. I'm just doing it, and I'm not having these meals. And same as, this is the worst thing is I feel, I'm a bit heavy today. I weigh myself, I'm 0.1 kilo heavier. And subconsciously, I'll just make myself too busy to eat my breakfast. And this is the subconscious buffering, which, like you said, everything has both sides. If you're in the phase that you need to be in, where you need to be buffering, then absolutely. But I got to the part where it wasn't so good. Anyway, I won't explain them all, but drink water before the meal, self-explanatory. Maintain meal times, 3 meals a day, just stick to those times. The 1 plate rule, which is, take 1 plate of food whilst we're in conversations in a social situation. If you're not concentrating on what you're eating, you'll just eat until you're like, oh no, I'm too full. If you take 1 plate, then you're done when the plate is done, not you're done when you feel full, which is a really handy rule. Number 5 is plan before I eat. So basically scope out what's on the table so I know what I'm going to eat before I start eating, including like starters, mains and desserts. Like find out beforehand if there's 3 different courses, like what's the starter, what's the mains, what's the dessert, and then, plan accordingly. 6th one is stick to chicken and fish. I found recently I've been experimenting with other meats, beef and pork and stuff like that. And it just doesn't sit well with me. It's a lot more fat in there. And, I like chicken and fish. It works really well for me. I do want to move more in the kind of like vegetarian angle, but for the time being, chicken and fish works really well. The 7th one is 1 meal off per day. This is something that you told me about. When I was having my wild weekends, because I wasn't keeping to my meal times, I would almost have like 3 or maybe even 6 meals that were off plan. And that becomes really difficult to judge what you've actually eaten, especially when, I'm sure a lot of people listening to this will know when they write out what they've eaten, they're like, oh yeah, totally forgot about these things over here. So it's exactly that thing. And then the last one is ditch the alcohol. I found that this may well be true for a lot of the listeners. It certainly became true for me as soon as I started RNT. Alcohol has a lot of calories, and I'd rather eat food than drink the alcohol. It's just, for me, it's a waste of calories. I don't get a huge amount of enjoyment from alcohol. I could drink a nice cold soda water and I'd be completely fine. Like, it doesn't make that much difference. So don't even be tempted to be like, oh yeah, I'll have a beer because everyone else is having a beer. Ditch the alcohol. I think I'm actually just going to go alcohol free going forward now. It doesn't help me at all, and it's just calories. Empty calories is what they call it, isn't it?
One thing you said there about if other people are having a beer, you don't really feel the need to have one. Talk about that. Like, how do you stick to your guns? Because a lot of people struggle with saying no and having the guts almost to stand for what they believe in. And the journey can be difficult when you've got pressure, stigmas, doubts coming at you, your partner maybe attacking you for doing this. What are some of the things that you've developed to help you with this?
I think the first thing is always goes back
to get your whole family on it.
Yeah, of course. I'll come on to that, but it always comes back to that cleanse the palate phase, right? Right at the beginning, when you're kind of going, why am I really doing this? And for me, at the time, I'll be honest with you, I couldn't even connect the dots. You connect them looking backwards. And now I look at what we're doing. Brief story, so you know where we're coming from. My mum had a heart attack in 2013. My dad had a heart attack in 2014. And everything that I'm doing now with the properties and that is kind of as a result of that. Like, my life has changed direction because of that. Now, when I look back on my life, I think to myself, well, what's important to me? And health and fitness is really important to me because, frankly, I don't want to be in a position where I'm having a heart attack and then it's stopping me from doing things. My mum can't ever bungee jump, or she can't ever skydive. I love skydiving. I mean, I've only been once or twice, but I love those kind of things, adrenaline sort of junkie, if you like, and to be told that you can't do something because of your health is insane. Especially when on Instagram you see all the time, the fit grandpa, the 70-year-old that's like still benching. It's insane. I want to keep myself in the best possible shape so I can enjoy the most of my life. So first thing comes down to, what's your why? And if you have a strong enough why, then it becomes really easy for you to decide what's right for you and what's not right for you. I think some of it probably comes down to personality in terms of when someone tells me I've got to do something, I always want to do the opposite. If they tell me you've got to do it, I don't want to do it. If they tell me you can't do it, I do want to do it. And that perhaps makes me kind of doing what I'm doing right now with property. Like, there's not many people who kind of go full time in property. I decided to do it because people told me you couldn't do it. And so when someone says to me, you have to drink, or, you've got to have one, I'm like, well, you guys had one. Like, I know who I am. I know what I value. And I don't need to, I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone. I suppose that's what it is. It helps having a wife as well, and like you said there, when I say it helps having a wife, my wife's also on this plan. My entire family, so my parents, my brother, my younger brother, my uncle, everyone that I know is on this plan. And it just helps so that it's not just me that's not drinking. Everyone's not drinking. In fact, my brother found the other day 0% alcohol, 0 calorie beer. And he was like, oh, you got to try this, really good. So I got one and I tried it. And I was like, it is really good, but I don't want beer anyway. Like, who likes the taste of beer? Not many people. So I put it in the fridge, and when people come over, we'll give them 0 calorie beer. And Jano has some every so often, but I'm not a big massive drinker anymore anyway.
So a lot of it's to do with understanding who you are and what you stand for, and sticking by that. You said at the beginning that you didn't know why you wanted this journey, but then you started connecting the dots after. What was that trigger point? And when did you think, oh, maybe I was doing this all along subconsciously, but only now do I understand why? If
I'm really honest with you, I would say that it's only in the last 6 months, whilst we've been talking, Akash, about what my mission is in life, and to help people in London to change the trajectory of their life by investing in property. When I've started to connect with their story, and I've started to think about my own story, and then I look back and I kind of see the story coming together. The story's always there. I just haven't seen it before. So I think that's the thing that really made me connect to that. I'm sure there was other kind of checkpoints along the way, but this was the milestone where I was like, oh, this is why I'm doing it. So along the way, I would have recognized, or I would have known it, but I wouldn't have understood it. Now I understand why I'm that kind of person. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The thing around the mission and purpose has been, I think it's been revolutionary for you in terms of even how you approach this journey, because now you can link the two so closely. And one thing, when I look at like what triggers high performance, I always think it's people, purpose, and physical. And I almost feel like you had the people and the physical locked in.
Yeah.
Once you had the purpose locked in, your way of thinking and acting has been completely different.
It has. I think you're really right there, actually. And this is, it's nice having this conversation because I'm realizing it whilst you're telling me. I think you're right that I had the people and the physical locked in with you guys. In fact, I hope you won't mind if I tell your listeners that, I agree a deal with you where I go, I want to sign up for a year in advance, because if I sign up, I don't need to think about that again. I don't want the option of, do I need to renew it on a monthly basis or a 6 monthly basis? I say to you, right, here you go. Thanks very much. And I'm done for the next year. And, there's no reason why next year I won't say to you, here you go, Akash, here's 5 years worth. Like, I don't need to be having this conversation with you again for another 5 years. And it's the same with, waking up and deciding what clothes to wear. It's like, well, just wear the same. People say, oh, you're so distressed that you wear the same clothes every day. I can't be bothered. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying at home all day, every day, at the moment, especially because of COVID. But yeah, I had the people and the fitness locked in. And then now I started to really understand a little bit more about my purpose. It's been amazing because I don't ever wake up in the morning and think to myself, I don't know if I can be bothered to do the gym today. You're right. I've linked those two things together to say, if I'm going to be purposeful and if I'm going to achieve my mission, I need to also make sure that my physical is kept in check. Because as you know, like if I was unhealthy and I wasn't able to physically do stuff, I couldn't do anything mentally either. Like they come hand in hand. Health is physical and mental, and that's something that I've believed for a long time. But a lot of people think about health, they think about their physical. I'm definitely talking about both elements of it. So yeah, I think the purpose probably falls more into like that mental side of stuff. Once you understand the purpose, all the rest of it kind of falls into place a little bit more.
Talk more about coming to terms with your purpose. And you briefly mentioned it with your mum and dad, heart attack. Do you want to elaborate on this story there? Because I feel like this links to a lot of different parts of your journey in your career, your relationships, and your health.
Yeah, I suppose so. So back in, I'll tell you what, I went to university, I studied economics. That was fantastic. I came out of that, I got a job, and I was doing the same thing in a grad scheme, same thing as a lot of people do. 3 years into the grad scheme, I asked myself this question. I said, do I want to be doing this for the rest of my life? And I thought to myself, no, like, there's not even maybe. It's like definitely no, I don't want to be doing this for the rest of my life. So I thought, well, if I don't want to be doing it for the rest of my life, why am I even doing it for another week or another month? Like, what's the point of this? So as you do, I thought, let me go traveling, because traveling is the solution to all problems. It gives you a time to reflect. It gives you time. That's what it gives you. Outside of the world that we're in, to journal and reflect and see what you're doing. So I went traveling, and whilst I was traveling, I got a call. I was in Colombia. I got a call from my brother, and he's on the phone to me. He says, "You've got to come home." And I said, "What's going home?" And I'd been traveling for about 5 or 6 months at this point. My brother had never called me. It was really weird that he was calling me. He says, "You've got to come home." But why have I got to come home? He says, "Mum's had a heart attack." I said, "Is she all right?" "She's in hospital. She's in ICU." "All right, fine." Anyway, a couple of days later, I ended up getting home, and I remember seeing her in the hospital, and she had tubes going into her neck, like they'd pierced her neck and gone straight in, and she had swollen up because she had a lot of water retention and stuff, and she was sitting she was lying in the bed, and I was like, "Oh, Mum, I'm here," kind of thing. She didn't know who I was, like she couldn't even recognize me. That's how drugged up I suppose she was. And I suppose I've never really liked hospitals, and this whole thing about health and staying fit and staying healthy from a mental perspective and a physical perspective comes from that kind of strong anchorage of me going to that hospital, seeing my mum in that situation, thinking there is no way that I ever want to be here. And it's not her fault. It was, it was because of an unhealthy diet, but the diet that she had was probably the same diet that most Asian people have at her age. I would like to think that we're a little bit more informed now, that we can choose our diet. And going back to your question earlier about, is it not hard for you? No, it's not, because I've got the choice about what I do. I'm not going to let somebody else make that choice for me. They can do what they like to do, and they can live their life on their terms, do the things that they want to do. I certainly want to live life on my terms, and I know exactly where I want to go and what I want to do. And you're absolutely right, that purpose side of things is, over the last 6 months to a year, has really brought out in me this thing that I'm doing that's bigger than just buying people property. What do we ultimately do? We help people in London to buy properties in Leeds as an investment. And that's cool. But that's never going to change anyone's life until we start to draw out the story. And once we started doing case studies from some of our clients, and we started to understand their backgrounds, I started to realize that our company does not buy property for people in London that want to invest in Leeds. Our company helps to change people's lives because it takes them on a different trajectory to what they would have been on. It's quite difficult for people in London to want to invest outside of the M25 because they're scared. A lot of people are scared. This might be their first investment that they've ever made. And we'll say, don't worry, like, we'll hold your hand and we'll take you through the process, and it won't be that difficult. And if anything comes up, we're here. We'll help you sort it out. It'll be okay. And just those kind of words help them to connect with us. So they then go ahead with the service. And because they go ahead with the service, they end up with a couple of investment properties. Now, it doesn't mean that it doesn't necessarily mean that much to them right now, but think about this. 30 years ago, people were buying properties in London for £30,000, and now they're going for 600, 700, 800,000 pounds. They were 30, and now they're 800. If you had bought 3 or 4 of them back then, you'd be set for life. And it's about trying to help people understand that you need to invest early, and then thinking about what their why is as well. Like, are they investing for their retirement? Are they investing for their children and their legacy? Is it to make sure that actually, if they don't have children, what's the legacy that I'm going to leave behind for the people that are around me? What is their reason that they're investing? So drawing out some of the story from them as well, to make them realize this is not just a property investment. This is something that has the potential to change their lives. So yeah, I think the whole process has been certainly, initially it started with the physical, and then it went to kind of like performance, and now it's gone kind of way beyond the realms of performance. It's now in the realms of like, how am I connected to the universe? And I might be losing some of your audience at this point, but I know you know what I'm talking about. I want to know that I'm here on this planet to do something other than just live, pay my bills and die. I'm here to make my dent in this world, to make my impact in this world, whichever way I can.
Talk about that more. Talk about how this has transcended performance, has gone into the universe. Like,
sure, yeah. Honestly, you may lose some.
Don't worry if you lose them. Don't worry if you lose them.
So I actually believe that everybody on this planet, every single person, is here for a reason. No one's doing nothing on this planet. Even the people that you think, oh my God, he's just a binman or something, or he's just a whatever. He works at Super Bowl or whatever. Everybody is here because they have their own gifts, their own talents. And there was a great quote by Mark Twain. I'm trying to remember it now. It said something like, the whole point of your life is to find out why you're here. And when you find that, i.e. when you connect to this bigger reason, it opens up the entire world for you, because then you start to realize that everything that you're doing in this world is happening for a reason. So for example, let's just say that I completely relapsed and I ended up eating loads of pizzas, and I end up gaining loads of weight. Some people would say, oh, that's a failure because, you've gone backwards. But if you think about failure as a two-dimensional thing, it's from this point to this point and you're moving along this point and failure is going backwards, then you've lost the game already. That's not what failure is. You've got to think about it this way. There's a motorway, and failure is the checkpoints, the service stations on that motorway. And every time you get to failure, it's just something that says, oh, you're going the wrong way. You need to go the other way. So you start going that way. Oh, you're going the wrong way. You need to go that way. It's just points that are telling you, that are guiding you to get to where you want to get to, but you're constantly moving forward. So if I gain loads of weight, it's starting to ask myself those questions of, rather than, oh no, I failed. It's like, I wonder what this could teach me. I wonder where this is taking me, because everything is happening for a reason. And, where I'm making this happen for myself, I really believe like I control. I'm going to lose you now, honestly. I believe that I control the universe. I believe I control my entire world. There's this great understanding that some people have that says, I'm looking at you, but I see you that has black hair, but I see that because it's electrical impulses that are being input through my eyes and being, printed onto the back of my brain. But the point is that I'm seeing that, my brain is seeing that, or it's making up that image. It doesn't actually exist, right? You may not actually exist. My brain is making that up. It's an easy way of saying that, if someone says something, oh, you look beautiful, I could think, oh, that's nice. Or I could think, what do they mean by you look beautiful? It's like your perception is what matters here. So I really do believe by controlling what's going into your mind, you're able to control your entire universe. When you then connect to the fact that the thing that you're doing on this planet, because you're all here for a reason, the thing that you're doing on this planet is here to help the greater good, and the fact that you're all connected. So I don't see me as one person and you, Akash, as another person. A few years ago, someone said to me, we're all drops of water in an ocean. We're all the ocean, but you're just a drop. But then as soon as you fall back into the ocean, you're just part of the ocean. It's not like there's that drop, oh, I can follow that drop along. It doesn't work like that. You're just part of the ocean. So we're all part of the ocean. And as at this moment, I'm manifesting myself as this drop in this ocean. But if we're all part of this bigger thing called the universe, what I'm trying to say is, how can I have my impact on this universe? Why was I put on this planet, and what am I doing here? And what can we do to make this a better place for all of us to be here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the belief that the universe is constantly evolving, and we as tiny specks of the universe, tiny pieces of consciousness, we all have a part to play moving it forward in whatever way that may be, and hopefully for the better. And in fact, whatever you do, it's going to move it forward anyway. It's not going to wait for you. So
exactly.
It depends on the impact you want to have on that. I think that's where purpose comes into play, and it's why as humans, as thinking beings, we thrive so much on having purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose, we could all be sitting here just chasing our tails, doing absolutely nothing, but just thinking and believing that you have a purpose is it makes you go in a particular direction, makes you, for the want of a better word, progress rather than, regress. But something like really great that, we were in that course together with Man Me, and that was a fantastic course because it helped me to realize that, as I said earlier, there is no regression. There is no going backwards. It's all going forwards. It's just going forward in a different direction that you may not have expected it to be in, which is an amazing thing once you grasp it. So let's say, for example, my mum had a heart attack. That's not a great thing. Like, people shouldn't be having heart attacks, and it's not nice when people have a heart attack and whatever. But here's the thing. My PA wrote this down on my bio recently. She said it was the heart attack, my parents' heart attack, that catapulted me and was the catalyst for me starting out in property. And if she hadn't had the heart attack, I might not have moved and started out in property. And if I hadn't started out in property, I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing. Arguably, I wouldn't have known you. I wouldn't be speaking to you right now. It's only because I had the free time, because I had some properties, and so I had some free time. So I was like, oh, let me try out this health and fitness regime and routine. So everything happens for a reason. It's all moving us forward, and we're all connected. That's what I believe.
Knowing what you know now about this journey, what would you tell people at the early days as a way to embrace that this is more than just the physical, and that this is going to turn you into a high performer in all areas of your life that you deem as a priority?
Just that it's exactly what you've just said. Like, it is going to do that. It's just about you letting it happen. So, embracing the journey and, checking in on time and wanting to do that. I think probably for the first year or so, whilst we were, just going through the process sort of phase, and all the rest of it, I probably was only seeing this as a physical vehicle. And as a result of that, probably not first year, first 6 months or something. And as a result, I was just checking in with you, right? What do I need to do to improve my physical body, my transformation? It was only once we got past there that you start to realize there's something bigger. So it's like, you've got to go through the gears. You've got to follow the plan. And you can't expect to be having, universal transformations on day 3. You've got to go through the cycle, right? Yeah. You've got to go physical transformation first, then you go through the rest of it into performance and mental abilities and things like that. And then you can go into kind of like purpose and mission and helping it affect you there. And I think that that because, recently we've been having these conversations about coaching and performance, not about, should I eat more this week or should I exercise more this week? I mean, that's still there, but it's much, much less. It's much more about, okay, well, what's coming up this week that might trip me up? In fact, I joked to someone else the other day. I said, a lot of my check-in with you now is, okay, well, this is what's going to come and trip me up this week. As a result, this is what I'm going to do about it. So I'm like coaching myself through the process. And then, of course, sometimes I remember it quite clearly, actually. Like, I think a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I'm here coaching myself. You pitched in, obviously, in the response and said, actually, have you thought about this? And I was like, oh, no, I didn't think about that. And, that's what that coach is there for you. I can coach myself all I want, but unless I can see it from an external perspective, which I can't because I'm the subject, I'm the person that's here, you can see it from an external perspective and you can help me to see things that I'm not seeing. So, yeah, and I can totally, I saw recently that you started is it the coaching academy or something like that? Yeah. And I was sort of thinking, oh yeah. And obviously that's exactly what you guys are doing. Like, this is not a personal trainer or a, physical transformation or anything like that. This is, a life-changing coaching experience is what it is.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Talk about the lifestyle solution. So earlier on, you said a big part of your journey was building that lifestyle solution so you can have your cake and eat it. And I know you love, posting pizzas in the group and all these things. But people, they see that and they think, oh, you just eat pizzas all day. But what goes into getting to that position where you can stay in shape? Because so many people are yo-yoing, rebounding, constantly in a state of dieting. How do you break that mold and build yourself a lifestyle solution that works for you? What went into your process there?
So I think the first thing to say is that the only reason that I can eat pizzas and ice cream and popcorn and everything that I want to eat, if I, within moderation, is because I went through the phase that you guys are all in right now, where you're eating the same food every single day. I went through that for easily a year, if not 2 years. Like, I'm not just woken up one day and decided to eat a pizza. I ate the same food, and I don't know if you remember this. I wasn't even the person that mixed up my food. I was like, I will eat the exact same food for 2 years. That's what I did, basically. And after 2 years of eating the exact same food, I was happy doing that. I didn't even want to experiment. It was only because I then got married, and my wife wanted to sort of experiment with a bit more stuff. And we've got so much variety in our foods now, and she's very good at kind of like making sure the macros all add up and stuff. But then it comes to a Friday night, and we'll be like, oh, I do feel like a bit of ice cream, and it's that, like I said earlier in this conversation, that kind of subconsciously I go, okay, cool, having some ice cream. And this is all subconscious. Like I'm not thinking about this. Having some ice cream. So tomorrow morning when I wake up, I'll make sure that I do this or I don't do this or whatever. So, but I think it's something that a lot of people find difficult. I speak to Josh Keegan all the time, and Josh says to me, he says, the thing that you've managed to do with keeping it consistent, he says, I find really difficult. And he gave me an example. I remember I laughed when he told me. He said, the other day I opened up a pack of biscuits, and he goes, I ate the entire pack. And I was like, why? Like, what? How did you even eat an entire pack of biscuits? After eating 2 or 3 biscuits, I'm like, this is getting a bit sickly now. I don't want any more of this. He ate the entire pack, and in fact, I think he then later in the day, he told me he actually lied to me. He ate 2 packs.
What?
One pack. Yeah, on that day, he came back to me and he said, I actually lied to you earlier. I didn't eat 1 pack. I actually ate 2 packs of biscuits. Anyway, so it's about kind of controlling that need and saying, I don't need those biscuits to make me feel good. And this is man meat all over again. Once you realize that you don't need something, you can have as much of it as you want, because you're not addicted to it. You can put it down whenever you want. Getting to that point where you can eat. This is a good point to bring this up. I really think that I can eat anything that I want to eat. Like, honestly, anything that I want to eat. And I think that the reason why I think that is because after 2 years of having the same diet for so long, the things that I want to eat have changed. So I don't go out and go, oh my God, I can't wait to eat those, like, a drink. Okay, drink's worst one, right? Drink fizzy drinks. In school, we all learned that they all had like 7 spoons of sugar, tablespoons of sugar in it. It's like, why do you want to eat that? It's so bad. Forget the fact that it's bad from a calories perspective, but also from like your mind perspective. You'll go through this massive, like, oh my God, I'm excited. And then you'll go through the dip and you'll be like, oh, I feel so drained and I feel tired. One of the reasons I keep hydrated is not because Akash says to me, you got to drink 3 liters of water a day. It's because I know that if I keep hydrated, my mind stays active. It's a well-known fact that if your brain is hydrated effectively, that you will be more productive in your work. I want to be really productive. I want to achieve as much as I possibly can. We're only here for, let's say 90 years. Do you know how many days 90 years is? It's 30,000 days. I'm 32. That means that I've already lived 10,000 days. I've only got 20,000 days left to go. That's it. Let's start counting those down. We need to make the most of the time that we have here. We need to have all the experiences that we can. And going back to what I was saying earlier, like, what I want to eat has completely changed. I got invited the other day to come for someone's birthday. Ironically, a client of mine who we'd just started speaking like 2 weeks ago, and we got on really well. So he said, come to my birthday party. He said, we're going to have pizza and ice cream. And I said, listen, it sounds amazing. More than happy to come. But I said, I won't eat, because I don't want to eat pizza and ice cream. Sometimes I do, but I don't really care about that stuff anymore. Actually, what I want to eat is I want to eat the stuff that when I wake up in the morning, I don't feel bloated. When in the evening, I wake up and in the evening I go, oh my God, like, I feel so much full of energy. I can do lots of stuff. With eating, certainly pizza, there's a lot of carbs in there, depending on which pizza you eat. If you eat a lot of pizza, you do feel lethargic. In fact, one of the things that's happened over the last couple of years that we've been doing this is self-awareness. And I was saying to Jana the other day, Jana's my wife, I was saying to her the other day that, when I eat this food, I feel like a little bit more gassy. And it's having that level of self-awareness to say, okay, if I feel a bit more gassy and I don't like feeling gassy, why don't I just not eat that food? That would be cool. I'm not saying not eat it ever. Like, yeah, if you feel like eating it, then eat it. But if that's not making me perform at my best and it's making me feel a bit off, then why don't I just not do that? So that's where I've got, in fact, one of the rules that I said to you earlier about eating chicken and fish, that's exactly what that is. It's like, I know that I feel great when I eat chicken and fish, but when I start moving into other meats, it doesn't really agree with me. So whatever's going on in my digestive system, it's about being mindful of that and understanding how that affects my performance. So Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Well, one of the things we've been spotting recently is that Monday morning you're waking up feeling bloated and lethargic and tired, and we're like, what did you do on the weekend? This is the reason why you've got the weekend rules now.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I've eaten this. So, well, Monday you're kind of 20% of your working week, you're kind of sleepwalking your way through it. How are you going to achieve your goals? And that was the here. Now you're like, okay, now I need rules on the weekend. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy your weekends. It just means you're not stupid with it.
Yeah, we all just need to put the words in a context that resonates with us. Like everyone wants to be healthy, but they just haven't heard it in the right way, that they go, oh yeah, this resonates with me. And when you said that to me about, in fact, what you actually did was you linked it back to my business. You know that I love this business. And now that I have the why of this business, of the, what we're doing, we're actually helping people change their lives. I know that if I'm not available mentally on a Monday, then that's 20% of my working week where I'm not helping people to change their lives. And if I'm not helping people change their lives, then I'm just wasting away, aren't I, really? So it's like that link between what I'm eating and how flexible I'm being on the weekend. And that flexibility for me is a way of is in my head, what I had previously attributed to freedom. I'd gone flexibility on the weekends equals freedom. And I love freedom. I love the freedom to do what I want to do. And what I did was I broke that link and I made the link to being more disciplined on the weekend means a higher level of performance. And that's why we made these rules to say, how can I become more disciplined on the weekend so I can have better performance during the entire week? And that is, you have better performance on Monday, which means that you get all your work done by, Thursday evening. Friday, you've got half a day. You're out early, you're feeling good, you're out enjoying the sunshine. Then you're already feeling good. And it all started from last weekend because you ate the right foods.
Yeah. And the ironic thing is that discipline and structure actually equal freedom. Freedom,
exactly. In fact, I don't know if I heard that on one of your podcasts or I heard that somewhere, but that was a game changer when I heard that, and I realized, because in the past, a lot of people do discipline, they do attribute and link discipline with lack of freedom, because they think, if I'm being so disciplined what I can eat, and I can't eat, my ice cream, and I can't eat the frozen yogurt or whatever it is. But actually, when you realize that the discipline is the thing that buys you the freedom, I mean, people always say to me, Shiv, you're 32, you've done okay for yourself from a property perspective, and all these properties and stuff. They say, how did you do it? And I can't remember, I think it's Gary Vee that says it. He goes, eat shit till you're 30. Sorry for swearing. Eat shit till you're 30.
Right.
He says, I'm 32, but the reason why I'm here is because in my late 20s, from 25 to 30, I was out there grinding, making no money, I was in 6:30 in the morning until 11:30 at night. I was working 6 days a week. And it wasn't because at that period, I felt like I needed to work on that. I was just doing it because that was the thing that I was doing in that period of my life. So I think this probably applies here as well. It's like I can have the freedom that I have now because I went through the process phase of it. And now I'm in that place where I honestly feel like I can eat. Let me describe to you what my meal plan is, right? And if you're someone that's going through this process and that is kind of like coming out the other end, you'll know exactly what I'm saying. If you haven't started this process, you might not know exactly what I'm saying. For breakfast, every single day, I have oats with peanut butter. So oats with protein powder and peanut butter. Tastes amazing. And my body's so used to it. Now, when I eat the oats, I know it's gym time. Like, I eat the oats, I'm training. If I don't eat the oats, that's when I get a bit like, oh, do I really want to train? I eat the oats, I listen to my music, I know I'm going to train. And I listen to this, same as you, I listen to the same playlist every single day. It's training time. That's at roughly at 6:30 in the morning. At 9:30, 3 hours later, I eat toast with so sourdough toast with 40 grams of peanut butter, which is a chunk, quite a lot of peanut butter. And I put some cinnamon sprinkle on top of it. And I posted some of these pictures before. People are like, how are you eating that for your breakfast? It's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, because I've worked to this place. Lunch is, lunch and dinner are reasonably flexible, but it's basically some sort of protein, some sort of carb. So rice and chicken curry or rice and paneer curry or whatever it might be, something like that. And then at the end of my day, every single day, I end with dessert. And my dessert is, I can't even believe that this is actually not a dessert. If you haven't tried this, try this. 200 grams of 0% yogurt, or fat-free yogurt. Then in there, add a squeeze of skinny maple syrup, Once you've done that, you add 20 grams of peanut butter, mix that all up again together. On top of that, add 20 grams of granola, add 30 grams of blueberries, mix that all up together. And now what I've started doing as a little treat to myself, I add a little 10 grams of salted nuts as well, 10 grams in there, mix it all together. The reason why I like it is because it's got the sweet that you want after dessert. That's what I like after dinner. It's also got the crunchy. It's got the flavors in there. It's got the cooling of the yogurt from the fridge. These are frozen berries that I put in, by the way, frozen blueberries. It's literally the best thing that you could possibly eat. It's honestly, it's so much better than, ice cream and cake and donuts and any of the stuff that you'd normally, eclairs and cheesecakes and stuff like that. This is so much better, and it's good for you. Yeah, I just don't understand why people aren't doing this.
And you feel good as well. One thing I always say is that a true lifestyle solution is when you choose what you want to eat, not what's available. Yeah, you might go to an event and think, oh, there's pizza. Like a pizza and ice cream. Oh, it's pizza and ice cream. It's available. Let me eat it all. But what you a lifestyle solution is like, well, what do you actually want to eat? And that sense of control and freedom is so empowering. Like you just mentioned there, that diet sounds really tasteful, and it's exactly what you want to eat on a daily basis.
Yeah.
You can do it because you spent the time learning about your body, create self-awareness, build the education base, and now you're reaping the rewards of it.
Yeah. And how I'm doing that, just by the way, just so that your listeners understand, it's not just because I did the same diet for 2 years. By doing the same diet for 2 years and by being on the plan, through the plan, I've been coached into what are the rules that I need to keep in place. And those rules have then become, what do you call them? Subconscious, that now I don't need to necessarily think about them. So for example, one of the rules that we talked about earlier was drink water before you eat the meal. When I go out places and I'm going to, let's say, for example, go to even just my mum's house or something on a weekend, before I get there or when I get there, first thing I'll do is I'll just take a large glass of water and I drink the water, because that means I'm not eating because I'm thirsty. I'm eating because I want to eat. And it's really, really powerful. Like you said there, that because I'm not hungry, because I've drunk water, so I'm not hungry, I can then choose what I want to eat. If you're hungry, everyone will know this. When you're tired and hungry and you've come home from a long day's work, you'll eat anything. Whatever's on the table, whatever's quick, that's what you're going to eat. And that's where people get into bad habits. I was talking to one of your clients who I met in Oxford Street, actually. He was saying around 4:30 every single day, this is about 6 months ago, 4:30 every day, he goes, I get the craving. He goes, I know that's my downfall. He goes, the rest of it I do amazingly. I do the steps, I do the gym, I do the nutrition plan, everything. But 4:30, I get this craving and I have whatever I eat at that time. And it's because it's convenient. But when you get to a point where you go, okay, let me drink the water, I'm not hungry anymore, now I can make a decision, a logical decision. Have you heard about that book about the chimp paradox?
Yeah, I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, so chimp paradox basically says that there's a human mind and there's a chimp mind. Everyone has this human mind being the logical mind and the chimp mind being your emotional mind. Your emotional mind goes, just do it. And the chimp, what it says is that a chimp is always quicker than the human. So if someone's swearing at you, for example, let's say your boss is swearing or whatever, you don't like your boss or something, your chimp will go, tell him you don't like him. But then eventually your human goes, hold on a second, if you tell him you don't like him, he might fire you, and that's not going to be good for you long term. And the human's always right, but the problem is the chimp gets out first. It's exactly the same thing. By drinking water, what we're doing is we're satisfying the chimp and saying, here you go, play with this water for a little bit. Your human can then go, right, what should I eat here? What's right for me? What do I want to eat? And can make those logical decisions in order for you to keep progressing towards where you want to go, as opposed to just reacting emotionally.
Something you mentioned repeatedly now is the eating the same food daily for a long period of time. I still eat the same food for the last few years. Like it's predictable. Like every day, I don't have to think about it. We're in an early stage of a new intake just now, and one of the biggest questions we get in the first few weeks is, when can I change my food? I've eaten the same food for 8 days, 9 days. When can I get more variety? Why is it so important that people do spend the time to lean in and educate themselves with the same food on a daily basis? So what's, from your perspective, we can tell it all day long, but they won't understand. But what about?
It's exactly the same reason why I wear the same clothes every day, because I can't be bothered to have that decision, that constant every single day, like, what shall I wear today? And then spend half an hour sitting in front of my cupboard thinking, what shall I wear today? by having the same food, and things like batch cooking and stuff really help here. What you're doing effectively is taking that decision out of your hands. So you no longer have to make that decision. If you don't have to make a decision, imagine this. Imagine you had a cook, and the cook always cooked for you like amazing nutritional food, and you didn't have to think about it. And it was, correct with your macros and all that kind of stuff. Because you didn't have to think about it, you'd eat the food. But guess what? You'd also be getting like really good macros and good nutrition from it as well. The challenge that we have is we don't have a cook. So what we've got to do is we've got to teach ourselves to do that. And the way that we teach ourselves to do that is we say, okay, you've got the habits. Let's handle one habit. Let's manage that habit. And then let's move on to the next one. Let's manage that one. Let's move on to the next one. And one by one, you go through all the different habits. When you've kind of got all the habits managed, you go, right, now it's working really well for me. At that point, you can start to unravel some of these habits and go, well, what happens if? And, the fact that, 2.5 years later, we're still working on rules shows you that this is a constantly evolving process where we're constantly unraveling habits, putting them back together. It's not just like once you know it, you know it. I'm sure you're the same. Like you're constantly challenging and testing yourself to say, I wonder if I could eat this, a different food every single day. It's something that you don't want to do because it's like so much variation. And, I'm sure in your place, same in my place, your mind, you call them your MEUs, don't you?
Yeah,
what does that stand for?
Mental energy
unit. Yeah, so the amount of stuff that you can fit in your brain, the amount of decisions you can make, there's only so much of those every single day. And if you use all of your, let's call it your willpower, if you use all your willpower to decide what clothes you're going to wear and what food you're going to eat, you don't have enough willpower at the end of the day when it's a long day and you've come home and you're like, oh, should I really eat that apple or should I eat the pack of biscuits? You'll go, oh, just eat the pack of biscuits, because it requires willpower for you to choose the apple over the biscuits in those early stages. So what we do by, eating the same food every day is we take that decision away. If you take that decision away, then in the early stages, you have more willpower to make the hard decisions, and you don't get tripped up by the decisions that you have to make. So I think that's why it's really important. And, honestly, like initially everyone's like, oh, complaining, like, I don't want to eat the same food every day. Eventually, so, and when I say eventually, I mean like literally probably 6 or 7 months into your journey, or maybe even less than that, Kash, you'll probably be able to help with this. People can pick the foods that they want to eat that fit within the macros.
Yeah.
And when they can pick the foods that they want to eat that fit within macros, then what you get is you get a meal plan tailored around what you want to eat. It's the same every day, but it's exactly what you want to eat.
Yeah.
In the nicest way of saying this, imagine if you're the person that likes pizza and ice cream, imagine you could eat pizza and ice cream every day. That's what you get to do. So that's a bad example because we're not talking about pizza and ice cream here. But recently, whenever I used to go training, I used to always go and do whatever training you gave me to do. Here's the training plan for this week, this month, this year. And I'd go and do that stuff. Because of lockdown, I've been able to, with you, choose the exercises that I really like.
Yeah.
And because I can choose that, like I love training. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to, I tell you what it becomes, rather than, I can't bother to do the training, it becomes I wonder how far I can push myself. Recently, you said to me, try the double band. And I was like, that's interesting. I never tried double band. I wonder if I can do double band. And it's like a celebration of what my body can do, rather than like, oh my God, like I can't be asked to do that. I have to do these things. So yeah, being able to choose eventually, however many months in it is, you can choose your own food. You'll still be eating the same food every day, but you'll choose what food that will be. And that is when, it becomes exactly where you want it to be. But yeah, at the very beginning, you're not in a position where you can choose the right foods. And so you have to eat the same food every day. You have to eat the plan that, RNT gives you.
Love it. Well, one thing, the reason why you've done so well in activating that vehicle, as I talk about, is you've stayed coachable throughout, and you leave the ego at the door, which is very difficult for many to do. Talk about the ego and why, in order to get the most out of a journey, you have to leave the ego at the door.
Okay, this is really simple, right? I know everyone likes analogies, so I'll give you this analogy. Imagine that you've got a cup, right? This is you, the cup, and the cup's full. If your cup's full, you can't fill it with anything else. You've got to come here with an empty cup so that you can fill it with the right knowledge, the right information. I mean, and you'll notice this because when you're there, losing weight and you're getting thinner, a lot of your family members family and friends will say, are you all right? Is everything okay? Because their cup is full with all the stuff that they've been told over the years, and they haven't emptied their cup. So when you say to them, no, I'm okay. By the way, there's this new diet. It works like this. You eat more protein, whatever. They don't want to listen to that because their cup's full. So they're not coachable. And the fact is that, out of all these people that get in touch with you to join RNT, there's only so many of them that actually are willing to, I think that's the important bit, willing to empty their cups so that they can then learn more. And what that comes down to is something that Akash Desai taught me about having a growth mindset. And it's like, actually, we're all here to, or certainly I am on this planet, to grow and to learn. But you can only grow and learn if you want to grow and learn. And in order to want to grow and learn, you have to have the empty cup. If you come with your cup full and you think you know everything, because, as I said to you, I was training with a personal trainer for at least 18 months before I joined RNT. And in that 18 months, I picked up a lot of, let's say, skills about what kind of training I should do and how I should do it and what my exercise should look like. I joined RNT, literally all those exercises were different. In fact, even so far as to say, even when I was doing chest press, like I used to do it on the bench, and I was no longer on the bench, it was now on dumbbells. And I was like, I wonder why, what's this all about dumbbells and stuff? But actually, when you start to understand that dumbbells means that both your arms develop at the same rate because you're having to push both of them, not just one-sided, if you're open to that learning, then you'll grow and develop. If you're not open to that learning, then it's very difficult to move forward, basically.
Amazing. Just what everyone needs to hear. I like the analogy as well. I've not heard that, so I'll definitely be stealing that one. In fact, one thing I think we spoke about a while ago, and I now call it the transformation checklist. You called it the 5 pillars at the beginning.
Yeah,
I remember you said to me once, you said to me, look, RNT is simple. You got to do your steps, your meal plan, your training. You remember that chat, yeah? You do these 5 things.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I was like, that's it. That's so simple. Now I call it the transformation checklist. So thank you for
that. It's
that
exactly that. That's I'll show you 1 second. It's exactly that kind of thing that we have here. Right?
Oh, there you go.
So like, what are the 5 things? In fact, if there's one thing that your listeners can get from this, right, is write out what are the 5 things that you do every day, or that you know that you do every day, and if you do those things, you'll feel good. And I know for me, it's like really simple. It's like get enough sleep, train, get my steps in, eat the right food, and stay hydrated. That's it. Like, do those 5 things. If I did those 5 things every single day, I'd have a great life. I would continue to feel good every single day. But if one of those things falls apart, so for example, if I don't have enough sleep, obviously I'm cranky, just like everybody else. If I don't have enough sleep, I'm cranky. That means I'm not going to have a good day. If I don't drink enough, I get really tired and lethargic. I'm not going to have a good day. If I don't go for my steps, I always shoot myself because I'm like, oh no, I haven't been for my steps, because then I have to catch up on the next day. I don't want to be behind. I want to be in front. It's like that. What are the 5 things that are going to make you feel good every single day? And honestly, if you want to know what those 5 things are, it's those 5 things that I've just mentioned. If you do those 5 things every day, like, you're going to succeed in the RNT journey. You're going to succeed in your body transformation, and you're going to succeed ultimately in like your performance in whatever it is that you're doing.
Finish up on using those 5 things and transforming your physical. How have you used the physical as a vehicle in your life?
How have I used the physical as a vehicle? You should have given me these questions beforehand, isn't it? How have I used the physical as the vehicle? So I think the first thing, in fact, I really remember that one time when you said to me, lean into the process. And I'll be honest with you, I had no idea what the hell you're talking about. What does that even mean, lean into the process? And in hindsight, like now, I understand what it means. It basically means that, when you're finding things difficult, do more of the thing that we're telling you to do. Don't do less of it. And I suppose that's what it's been about for me. All this transformation that we've been going through with the business, with my life, with my relationships and everything like that, has always been underpinned by physical health. I've got a gratitude journal. Every morning I write down 3 things. Every evening I write down 3 things I'm grateful for. And in those 6 things, every single day, my physical health, and I literally call it my physical health, those are 3 words I use, appears at least once in those 6 things. And it's because I wake up every day and I'm so grateful that I can walk and I can see and I can run and I can do things, because there's lots of people who can't do these things. And I just think to myself, like, if I didn't have my physical health, my mental health would suffer. If I didn't have my mental health, my ability to do stuff that is changing the world, which is what I think we're doing, which I think, by the way, what we're all doing is changing the world, but my ability to do that would be massively impacted. So it's about making sure we do those 5 things, and those 5 things are going to help me to have a better physical body, and that's going to help me have a better mental state, and that's going to help me have the most amount of transformative power that I can have in this world. So that's, I think, how RNT and the physical has been the vehicle for me to do much, much bigger things than just, get a six pack.
Amazing. And that's my purpose in action there, and my mission. So I love hearing that. How can people find out more about what you do and reach out to you if they're interested?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to little plug here. So Lifestyle Property People, we help people, busy London people, to invest in properties in the Leeds property market. It's in the north, if you've never heard of Leeds. www.lifestylepropertypeople.co.uk. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook and all the rest of them. Just search for Shiv Haria, S-H-I-V, Shiv. Surname is H-A-R-I-A, Shiv Haria.
Amazing. We'll put those in the show notes. Thanks for coming on, Shiv.
Perfect. Loved it. It's been really good. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for being here today on this episode of RNT Fitness Radio. I'd love for you to do a quick little favor for us. Please head over to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating, leave a comment, and share it with your family and friends. If you're interested in learning more about how to transform your body and positively change your life, go to www.rntfitness.com and explore all our free content on offer. Thank you.